love me a good coffee, specialty coffee all the way. This video is about coffee, the drug that most of us are addicted to actually. And actually not just coffee, but caffeine in general, and how much the good things, the bad things about it, and my personal opinion on it. So there's a lot of misconceptions about coffee, and some people think that they need it to survive, and whilst you may feel like you need it, it's just your body's reaction when you don't have it is so severe that you don't understand what it would be like to not have it. Now, I must admit, I love coffee, and my life will definitely, most likely, always have coffee in it and have some sense of caffeine. Because caffeine, yes, it's a stimulant, it's a performance enhancer at the same time. It does help with cognitive function, it helps with focus, it helps with energy and adrenaline. It will help you momentarily, but if you've ever noticed this, if you're the type of person who has to have 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee on a morning before midday to get started, and then you could be looking 6, 8, 10 cups every day, you're probably going to find that after a certain amount of time, you feel even more tired. I've noticed this because here's the thing, what caffeine does is throughout the day your body produces this thing called adenosine, and it makes you naturally tired. The levels of adenosine fill up as the day goes on. Obviously the longer you stay awake, the more natural levels of adenosine. Hence, if you're up for 20 hours, by that time you're very tired, right? So what caffeine does is it essentially has a block, like imagine a wall where these adenosine are coming in, and there's adenosine levels rising in the body, and it's causing the body, as the day goes on, you're going to get tired, so eventually come 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, you'll want to go to sleep. But what caffeine does is it blocks this adenosine, but it only has a certain amount it can block, so it'll stop you getting tired, what it usually does at first, it gives you a buzz, right? But ultimately, as it's having a block there, the adenosine starts to rise, so eventually, when the caffeine starts to wear off, you'll get this flood, whereas when you'll know, you'll become more tired. And you might find this, I find this if I have 2 or 3 coffees in a row, I feel that quite immediately. I kind of feel this sort of surge of tiredness, and I don't feel alert anymore. Now, not only that, you have to consider, caffeine is great for getting you through the day. I love my coffee, not just because it tastes amazing, but it does give me a nice little buzz. Now, I used to be a 6, 7 cup a day man, then I went down to 5. Now I'm averaging around 2 to 3, and I'm looking to cut that down to 1 or 2 actually. And I'm noticing an effect from cutting it down. Not cutting it out, but cutting it down. Now, it's an interesting thing on caffeine because I've struggled with anxiety for years. And I've always drank coffee, mostly. I have had periods where I've had a month off and stuff. But anxiety can be elevated by caffeine consumption. So if you struggle with anxiety, you want to think about cutting down, if not cutting out, the coffee. It has been known to cause jitters and cause you to be, really shaky. You might feel like you feel your heart palpitating if you have too much, right? But also, caffeine has been shown to decrease a hormone in the body called ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes you feel hungry. You know when you're growling, and your stomach is hungry? Caffeine has been shown that it decreases the levels of that hormone. So actually, when you're trying to lose weight, it could be a good aid. Could be a good aid in intermittent fasting because it won't break you fast. Could be a good aid in just helping you think like you're having some consumption when you're hungry, but you're getting no calories basically in a black coffee, right? So that's a good thing about it. And also, there's a misconception about it being something that completely dehydrates you. Now, whilst you're drinking coffee, like a cup of coffee, I tend to have my coffees black, but you're drinking coffee and you are drinking liquid. So what coffee is, it's a diuretic, which means it makes you go to the toilet more. So while it makes you go to the toilet and get rid of a little bit of water, it doesn't actively dehydrate you. It's likely that if you were drinking short espresso shots, which didn't contain much liquid, then drinking them all the time would contribute to levels of dehydration much more than, say, a regular cup of coffee was. But obviously, nothing is going to hydrate you more than the good old H2O, which you should have on your desk, visible at all times, of course. So we need to start thinking a little bit more carefully about how we consume caffeine, because it has quite a long life inside of the body. It can actually last 10 to 12 hours inside the body. Now, whilst you might think, oh, hey, well, I have a cup of coffee at 6, 7 o'clock at night and I sleep like a baby. That's great, but have you ever tried it without? What if you could sleep even better? I mean, if you're full of energy throughout the whole day and you wake up with a spring in your step, then who am I to say? But have you ever tried it without? And it's a misconception about coffee, thinking more is better. And whilst you are thinking, I cannot function without caffeine, you can. It's just you've never allowed yourself time to. But whilst I would never say cut things out, I would advise people to cut things down and add other things in. So for example, this is my coffee that I'm having just after lunchtime, right? So, that's some damn good coffee. I enjoy it, right? So my plan moving forward is this. Having a coffee after my breakfast, cutting out, this is my plan from March this year actually, cutting out the very first coffee I have in the morning. So when I wake up, instead of having a coffee, I have a litre of water. Now I already have around a half litre anyway, but I usually have the coffee on top of that. But I'm going to try this time to have the coffee just after breakfast. So that's going to give my body a chance to adapt to less caffeine levels and not have the requirement need for it on the morning. Now also what I'm looking to do is stick to 2 a day and try not to drink it after midday, after lunch coffee. I enjoy a coffee after my midday meal. Now, one thing that I love to do before I train is have a strong coffee because it's a performance enhancer. Caffeine does that, right? And you might think that before you go to the gym, I'm going to have a coffee. Now, if you're going to the gym at 6 o'clock at night and you have having a coffee at 5:30, that's going to be well in your system by the time it comes to 10 o'clock at night and you're looking to go to bed. So the quality of sleep could be hugely affected. So what I'm looking into now is getting some kind of caffeine-free pre-workout drink. Something that's, stimulant-free, as in it doesn't contain any harmful chemicals. Just some natural substances which can give you a little bit of a boost and a little bit of a buzz that could replace the caffeine so that the quality of my energy and sleep raise and that I'm going to get better results, better focus, better performance. Caffeine has its place. I fucking love coffee. I love it. And I love the taste. I love the social aspect of it. I love how it makes you feel once you've had a great strong cup of coffee. I love the buzz. I love just everything about it is fantastic. But the problem is it's so accessible and we overuse it. And we're living lives which are not supercharged in energy. And that's what I help people do, is supercharge their energy. Coffee has its place, but it could be one of the things, and caffeine in general, could be energy drinks for you. It's the same bag really. In fact, energy drinks are even worse most of the time because they can contain more quantity of caffeine than a cup of coffee. And a cup of tea contains, I think, less than half of what coffee does. So again, not as bad, but still, if you're having 10 cups of tea a day, you're still having the equivalent of 5 cups of coffee. So you have to start thinking about that. So hopefully this video has been very useful for you. And maybe it could be time to start cutting down on consumption to see how it would work. Now, one thing that will help you cut down the consumption of this is to increase the consumption of this. So by the end of the day, get through a 2 litre bottle minimum. I'm a little bit behind today actually. I should be a little bit over half there. So I'm going to take a swig right now. And what this does is help with the hydration levels much better than this ever will. If this has been valuable, like, comment, share the video, and I will see you on the next one. Have an amazing day. How would your life look like with more motivation, energy, and self-control? My second book, Supercharge, is available now, the modern day guide to creating outstanding levels of energy, motivation, and self-control. Head to superchargedbook.com to get your copy right away.